So it's February, and we've just survived the month of like all of the electronics shows and consumer shows and like CES and NAM and Shot Show, and I'm pretty sure there's some other stuff that I'm not aware of, but those are the things that have been on my feed for the past like month.
Yeah, and there was nothing that came out of the CES footage that made me think that we're still moving forward. It all felt like everything has kind of stalled in a way.
I think the only thing that improved over CES 2025 was like the visual treatment of the space. Like I think they put more LED signage up and more of those like waves or curtain screens. And basically, they spent more money on the accoutrement than everyone else did on developing new products.
Well, it's funny to see gaming aesthetics sort of seep outwards. Like everybody's putting LEDs, like RGB LEDs on everything now.
Oh yeah, it's got to glow in every color. It's got to pulse. It's got to do that wave cycle thing.
Which I don't hate, but it's just funny to see it. In that, I this is one place where I feel like PC gamers explicitly created a culture that like I think other people wanted to hate on it, but knew it was cool, and then people started copying it.
I mean,
Uh,
I tranquility lighting is fucking awesome, and anybody who doesn't think so probably just is real stiff. Or they've just never experienced a room that's set up properly that actually works with the room.
right. I mean, and even beyond that, circadian rhythm lighting has it's changed my life in that seasonal affective disorder is something that pretty much no one can avoid because of vitamin D deficiency. But if you can actively treat yourself with light therapy, you can not have the most extreme effects from it. And having had circadian lighting for probably a decade now, it definitely makes the deepest parts of winter way easier. Because as soon as the light or as soon as the sun starts going down, the light starts coming on inside, but it like gradually comes on. So it's not a hard transition. And so seeing that happen, but then also actively turning on the lights when the sun goes down, it makes a big difference in how my eyes don't get tired as quickly at night. Um, and it's like they get, the longer you stay awake, the more chance you have of your eyes getting tired. But it's like, just like any other endurance muscle, they can be honed and worked to be more effective and efficient. But there's also everyone's eyes like give out at some point, and they everyone gets tired. So it's like you can't. When you're a kid, there's this impetus to want to stay up forever because that point is just way later, and it may take 36 hours of being up before your eyes start going getting blurry. Whereas now it's like, oh, 2 hours after sundown, fucking every car on the road lights look like halos.
Oh man.
And like snow is not a stigmatism because it's not a constant thing. It's not like, you know, it's not as soon as the light, as soon as the light goes away. It's like, yeah, if you go inside and don't have the lights on and then go back outside, your eyes are going to be not adjusted in a way that then especially these fucking halogen lights from these cars, man, that shit should be illegal.
I think there's actually a problem with almost all vehicular lighting systems. They're all really just insanely bright, but they have poor fill. Like they're just incredible projection, but it's hard to see things with them. And then if you're not behind it, if you're not like looking at what's being illuminated, or if what's being illuminated is kind of it has its own kind of shape to it, it doesn't always. Sometimes it lies. Like lines don't resolve the same way. Like the colors don't look right. And then everything, because it's so intense, like the contrast is so high that everything that's not lit at all just is dark. And a lot of that is the wavelength, the wavelength, or the color temperature of the light. That wavelength scatters or diffuses really easily, and so it doesn't really fill anything. It's not big, wide wavelengths. That's the thing about like the really old halogen systems that were like yellow. Those things would produce a really broad spectrum of light, like just full color rendering index. And so our eyes could adjust to lower light, and that doesn't happen anymore. Now everything's got these really just white LED lighting systems. And I get it, they're cooler, they use less electricity, they're safer, they don't contain all sorts of really nasty shit. So if they do fail, they're not, break or something, or someone hits it with a car or truck and knocks the pole over, doesn't release a bunch of really nasty shit.
This makes me.
It doesn't
Sorry,
look. It just doesn't look the same. So it's very clinical.
This makes me also think, though, all of the features that have been upgraded in cars, this is where something should have changed so that after dark, your interior lights are red instead of white. And it's like things like that make a big difference.
Oh, and if you've got like an infotainment system inside the vehicle that's like causing your eyes to pinpoint more because it's super bright inside the car, then
Right,
it's even darker outside.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that shit's real, man. I definitely remember you get used to the glow because it's present, but that type of, especially if it's blue or white, that type of light glow on the interior of your vehicle changes your near sight so that your far sight is going to get fucked up. And it's like just thinking about how poorly designed these vehicles are for actually giving the driver the best vision possible, especially with, man, these pickup trucks anymore, or SUVs for that matter. They have such terrible visibility in front, immediately in front of their vehicle, and then the people don't know. They don't know how the vehicle operates because they don't understand the weight of the vehicle. So then they're driving 80, 85 miles an hour in fucking snow, and you're like, what gave you the idea that this was going to work out?
Meanwhile, their speedometer is like going just insane because it doesn't know what's happening. It's probably on a wheel that's locked up. It goes sliding into a tree. I've seen so many videos in the past like week of just people being way too overconfident in their tires and in their vehicles, and I saw an entire like like 2 or 3 minutes of people wrecking their Subarus. It was like it was messed up. It was like the weekend rally night in the parking lot at the old mall or something, like the kind of thing. And I saw another video. It was like the exact same place, except it was like truck night, and they were doing the same thing. Like, and every so often, some dude would just end up driving into a freaking lamp. Those things are
Well,
so tall. Like the lamps are so tall because they have to cover the field that they have to cover is so big that they're not like next to each other. These guys they should be driving between the goalposts, not like into them. It's
so
like, and no one's immune. Like it, like I said, like Subarus, big trucks, like SUVs. I've seen so many videos of SUVs like losing it and then like swerving all over the place and ending up in someone's yard or their fence.
Mm. Those things are such false sensitive confidence in that, yeah, they have better traction if you have the right settings and the right tires, but also you have to know how to drive in it. So it's th- it's a two part, well, more than two part, but at least two part equation where then they bring this shitty driving like it's still dry
Ugh,
as the operator.
man. So I drive like my Red Ranger can get out of everything that's been thrown at us here for the last week. Yeah, like it's just fine. I can get anywhere. But I'm also going like 5 miles under the speed limit, 10 miles under 20. When it was snowing, when it was like coming down, and I had to get out of the house for a little bit, like I was going like 20 miles an hour, and I was cool with that. At some points, I was going even slower because there are roads that hadn't been plowed, but there were still people out there driving like crazy, and I still drove by people who were like stuck in someone's like yard or in the like the little drainage ditch right next to the road. And these are things that shouldn't happen. They just shouldn't. Nobody should be driving like that. Nobody should be driving in such a way that they end up in a ditch.
Right. I mean, nothing is worth that. If you, especially if it is an emergency situation and you have that type of vehicle, you're not capable of handling an emergency and you're going to make it worse.
Yeah.
So that type of thinking is very juvenile and not in just in the sense of childlike. It's they haven't learned how to compound problems and compound variables to then understand that then getting stuck in the snow has created another problem, and then they don't link those two things together because they don't understand that going out in the snow was something that they didn't have to do if they had that vehicle. So I'm I'm it sounds obvious, but I'm understanding more and more the American psyche of displacing responsibility even in one's own decision making, where then someone will be like, oh, I had to go to X, Y, or Z because it was scheduled before the storm hit and before the storm was on the radar, and they didn't know or they didn't have the adult wherewithal to cancel the thing, and they just tried to follow through. And that it feels like you're being an adult trying to follow through, but the actual adult thing to do is to call off no matter what. It's like it doesn't matter if it's your job, if it's your class, whatever it is, it's not worth fucking risking death over. And that's the adult uh decision making that people, because they then don't want to accept that responsibility and the consequences, they just go to work. They just fucking go to
Yeah.
class or whatever it is. They just try to follow through with it because they're like, oh, I guess I need to do this thing since it's on the schedule, even though it looks like a fucking never before seen blizzard before outside. Like,
It'd be one thing if it was a community or culture where that experienced that kind of weather phenomenon all the time, and so everyone like was not just like vehicularly prepared, but also like, you know, they understood that yeah, if it's like this, you're going real and slow because you can only get out of things if you get into them under control, and then but that doesn't seem to exist.
well, and it also means adjusting your times
Also
where,
expectations. Like I know there's a limit where it's like, yeah, I'm not taking the truck out. Fuck that. And it's usually when
right.
there's like, blizzard or like low visibility or the roads have like had zero attention and it's like, yeah, I'm not trailblazing this because who knows how much ice is underneath that shit.
But if somebody has to go somewhere and say it takes 10 minutes to get there normally,
Oh yeah,
It
triple
may
that.
take 20 to 30, yeah, exactly, to get there under these conditions. And these people are not factoring it in. And then when they start out late, then they try to compensate by going even faster. And it's just a sequence of terrible decisions that adults should have the wherewithal not to make, but because people are treated as if their operation at is not at their own control, then they keep getting away with it because then it's like, oh, I can blame the traffic instead of blaming myself for not leaving early. And seeing it happen at all these different levels, it's like, oh, I get it's the other side of corporate America taking over the responsibility of the family unit. Then they also have to then absolve the individual of personal responsibility in their own eyes so that it's easier to then absorb that person into that pseudo family unit.
You know, it'd
Like
be really easy if cars had like there's a snow mode. It's like, and it's sensor based. And when that happens, like it reduces the throttle input by like some kind of logarithm, so that even if one were to floor it, they'd only get like 40% throttle, and it would still be on like a logarithmic acceleration. It'd be real easy. Make everyone drive slower and shit. Disable that stuff on your brand new car that probably has some kind of like, law enforcement kill or lockout system so that you can't like leave when they pull your ass over. I mean, that's obviously where we're headed. That's that legislation is like being discussed right now, apparently, and so. but but yeah, like why?
at the same time, it's like it sounds dystopian, but in a way, it's like there's always been these social contracts that are signed on one side that don't have a cosign on the other side. And everyone who gets a license and goes out on the road basically does not have an agreement with the other drivers on the road.
Well, they're
There
supposed
should
to.
be.
They're supposed to. But
Exactly. It should be, but this is the difference between the sea or nautical operation and the road. And even in that, motorcyclists don't operate by the same rules. So this is where culture has a huge impact on these type of things, in that American car culture does not actually create an agreement
man,
mechanism.
if
There's
there
no
was
mechanism to create an agreement between drivers.
if there was a culture of safety like in automotive culture in America that was like a mirror of like aquatic boat cultures, like, requirements for safety, like there would be so few cars on the road, there'd be so few licensed drivers. It'd
Absolutely.
be a
Yeah.
whole different world. It would
Yeah.
be so much safer.
Which again,
Oh my god.
there are ways around it.
That's like a fantasy world of road safety though. Like,
Not really, because here's the thing. I remember when the European roundabout models were being introduced in America. It was probably when we were about 9 or 9. I was probably 9 or 10. You were probably 10 or 11. And the way that Americans reacted to roundabouts, it was so illogical, so pseudo patriotic, in the sense of it was wrapped up in American identity, but it's a false identity that is only recent. So it was something that had no thought, had no fore forethought, research, or long term insight, and it was purely a visceral response. And now I see places where roundabouts exist in America, and it's only in the rich areas for the most part, but it's also those places where they have the roundabouts, they don't have stoplights, and then guess what? You can't get in trouble. You can't get a fucking ticket for running stoplights. So then they don't have these police officers patrolling these zones for infractions the same way they do in areas where there's cross streets. So it's like all these things associated with cross streets versus roundabouts ultimately only benefit the police state in a way that if people really understood how much cross streets actually lead to a police presence and more policing of the people on those roads, and by proxy more T-bone. You can't T-bone in a fucking roundabout. It's pretty much impossible. You can try, but the way that the curbs are set up, you're not going to even be able to go directly into someone's side. Like if if it's a curb,
You have to go full
that has
GTA if you want to go straight through a roundabout. Like you got to ramp.
even then, your car's not gonna like
Nothing
even
survives.
even a fucking SUV in 4x4 high or 4x4 low is not going to be able to T-bone anybody in a roundabout. It's just not going to be possible because it's going to put the car at such an angle where they're going to end up either on the hood or canted in a way that's still not it's not a T-bone. It's not the same. Like
I think the only vehicle that's going to be able to enter a roundabout and head on and then exit and potentially make it through, only if there are no other vehicles in the roundabout, is like a sand rail with giant wheels. You know those things with like 4 feet of suspension travel. And like a monster truck or a monster sand rail, something that.
But then that can't, bro. The suspension's gonna mean it's gonna not hit the car.
I know.
It would have to hit one of those other vehicles.
I'm just trying to imagine the vehicle that could even go straight.
But that's exactly the same scenario where I'm saying it's gonna end up on the hood. It's gonna end up going over that car. It's not gonna you can't T-bone that. Like it's impossible because of if they didn't have curbs in the roundabouts, it wouldn't be impossible. It would be very hard. It'd be very difficult, and you'd have to do something that would not be in the normal flow. But with the curbs, it's pretty much physically impossible to actually T-bone somebody because trying to go over a curb, no matter what, is going to put the car at an angle in the Z-axis that's not going to allow it to T-bone it in the X-axis. So it's like the geometry does not work in roundabouts. And it's one of those things that the way that a split-second person running a red light,
you'd have to ignore all traffic calming features and all like directional guidance and just like barrel straight through, and then you'd still hit whatever's in the middle of the roundabout.
And that's what, again, it's not, you're not like, okay, in the middle of the roundabout, a lot of times
you got crazy features too.
Well, it's like a raised hard edge curb. It's not a soft edge curb. So your front tires are gonna pop on the hard edge, and then it's going to go into grass. So whether that grass is wet or not, your tires are gonna start spinning because they're fucking flat. So it's like you can't maintain speed, even if the center of a roundabout doesn't have something raised in the middle. You just can't maintain speed through it. It's not physically possible.
You have to have a monster truck. That's like the only thing.
And even then,
or most of that. And even then, you have to go. That's totally beyond the whole premise of utilizing a roundabout properly.
But even and I don't know if you've ever actually been in one of those, like not even the real monster trucks, but the ones that are on like let's say, I think they're like 36-inch tires, and then they're like 4 feet lifted.
Oh,
it's like,
like
you can't Yeah, you can't T-bone a regular car in a mud truck.
No, they just drive over everything.
Exactly. Even so, it's like you literally can't. It's these are the places where I'm like, it's physically impossible.
You could T-bone another mud truck,
Right.
they would
Exactly. That's
just
it.
bounce off of it. Those things are like indestructible. Like just the idea of like,
Well, and those things are so hard to control. It's not gonna.
yeah,
It's gonna be a
those are
10 mile an
boats.
hour impact.
Yeah, those things are basically like boats that travel through swamps. Like you can't really, they're not really even meant for roads. Most of them have ag tire or agricultural tires, like which are essentially paddles.
I rode in one on on a regular street, and once you get up to 30 miles an hour, you can't get. It doesn't go straight.
No, they float.
Yeah,
They hunt the road. They
and you
float
don't
all over
even
the
know
place.
which way it's gonna float. So it's
Yeah.
like it's you can't get in a high speed anything in those.
Oh man. Yeah, well that's why when they give it the juice at like monster truck shows, when they do like the gymnastics stuff, like that's why that stuff happens, because those paddles, like they just grab and they send the thing in some direction, and then they just floor it and let like gyroscopic forces do their thing.
Right, because even in four wheel, it's gonna the differentials aren't gonna be perfect, and
No.
something's gonna catch at a different rate than the other one, and the
Yeah.
forces are so powerful that it's gonna rip that truck in a fucking direction that it wasn't meant to go. And this is where it's like,
That's the Jesus take the wheel moment, man. That's like they go flying off towards a ramp. They do some kind of twisty backflip thing, land on their wheels. They just throw it in reverse and like gas it. The thing starts doing like somersaults. That stuff's amazing. But those things aren't normal. Like can't have that on a city street or a country road. That takes up the whole thing. Can't really even use them like in the backwoods because someone gets hurt. Now they've got to get like help out into the middle of nowhere. It can really only run in like places that are maybe within half an hour of a hospital. That's and obviously that's not entirely true, because there are plenty of dudes who take their mud trucks out and drive off into the creek and go spray mud everywhere and get stuck, and their buddies show up with winches and pull them out. That happens all the time. Like that, there's a whole entire culture of that. But they don't drive on roads. Those very rarely do you ever see like a mud truck, like something that's actually built for that, like anywhere but like a parade.
right, they're always out in the fucking wilderness somewhere.
Yeah, they're not stuck. They're on their way to get stuck.
Yep.
I think that's part of the fun. Like that's part of the I'm assuming fun with big quotes, like is getting stuck and then getting unstuck. Man, we took this thing so far to the place it couldn't get out. We had to go get the winches. Like, like oh.
Well, there's certain cars that I feel like those types of vehicles last a long time because the owners actually take care of them.
Yeah.
Even though they put them through their paces versus something like a Trackhawk or the SRT or the fucking
Any of the super car variations of any high end or high performance car.
well, it's like you see them and then those people wreck them because they don't keep that on the track. They try to fucking anywhere that anywhere that they go, they try to display the power of that vehicle in a way that inevitably results in that vehicle ending up
Early
in a wall,
demise.
right? Or it gets taken because of fucking police possession because they got caught at a high speed, and then it's like reckless driving, and their license gets taken, and their vehicle gets fucking impounded, shit like that.
Yeah.
So
I knew a guy who built
you
a
just
three
don't see.
rotor. He built a 3-rotor RX-7, and then the state took it because he got arrested street racing, and then they destroyed it. And I remember thinking like, man, that really sucks. But what the fuck was he doing, racing it on the street? It's like so cavalier just to take that kind of like investment in time and resources and just tempt fate like that.
Well, but he was also probably betting
Oh yeah.
large amounts of money, which is like that's classic toxoplasmosis cocktail of behavior.
Oh
Would
man.
do something at extreme high speeds and also place life-changing amounts of money in wagers on this thing. So I might die or I might lose my fucking life savings in the
I
process.
remember like at the
Sounds
time
about
I
right.
asked him, I was like, you know that there's like 4 tracks, like real race tracks, all within like 3 hours of here that you could go to any of their open track days. And he's like, well, there just aren't enough. And I was like, yeah, but that's like still like, a dozen, 2 dozen like days that you can go to any of these tracks and drive as fast as you want, and it's safe. And he's like, yeah, it's just not enough. And here I am thinking, it's like, how the fuck do you even pay for that kind of shit then? Because that's not cheap. Like getting a vehicle to a track and then getting fuel for it and running through tires like that. That's just. You're probably right. They were probably like involved in street racing and gambling at some level that made it somehow sustainable. But
I don't know if it's ever sustainable so much as people get in their phases and it's like you might catch someone before they're down and
yeah,
before they've or before they've wrecked their fucking car and they're just in their phase. Because I know someone, this is gonna sound like I made it up because it's too on point. I knew someone who was it was someone I worked with at Best Buy. Um
did
he
they have one of those
was
like crazy systems that you could hear for like 5 or 10 blocks away?
of course, yes, of course. But they were also street racing. And then they were betting on the street racing. This motherfucker had like 3 kids, so it wasn't like somebody that was a teenager. He was in his 40s. Well, his street racing career ended because he got arrested for stealing over $50,000 worth of merchandise from Best Buy, and he was selling it. So it was like not only was he
Fell off the
doing
back of a truck.
one risky behavior, he was doing all the risky behaviors.
uh,
Even though he had kids, which again, it's like I think he got out in about 6 months, so he clearly made some fucking deal and narked on somebody about something. In that, at the same time, it wasn't. You've come to find out, it wasn't just him. He wasn't working with other people within Best Buy, but other people higher up within the company were doing the same shit.
uh,
So it's like I think once he figured out that the inventory, like some TVs were coming in, say there was 200 TVs that were scheduled to come in. Well, maybe only 190 show up. And once he figured out that, then he was taking off 5 off the top or some shit. And so those things weren't coordinated, but then there was a lot higher up happening. So they took out a lot of the upper management at Best Buy because the management was just stealing from the company and fucking reselling shit. Because then you find out the same shit was happening at Nike. The same fucking shit, and not even just like random people. Like the son of the vice president of Nike was doing this for the mom, who was way high up in the company. But then you have to think about it where you're like, is this just greed? And you're like, no, these people have to do this. If they didn't have to do that, they wouldn't. Capitalism is in a place where these companies like Nike have to fucking steal from themselves, or fucking Electronic Arts have to steal from themselves and sell on the black market to make it worth their time, because they've also put their finances in a crunch where now all their profits go to fucking um like private equity, who's bought all the stock and all the shares. So all these people are doing work for this thing that they used to own, and now private equity owns it all, and they're just there, not even making the money that they used to. So it's like Who who would have thought when we were growing up, when Electronic Arts was dominating, that they would get caught, people within Electronic Arts would get caught stealing loot boxes and selling them on the black market at such a scale that it's causing law it caused laws to be changed in Europe. It's like, that sounds made up. But no, that's an abridged version of what happened. And it happened so long, not even so long ago.
No,
Things happen so like fast now. It feels like it was a long time ago.
that doesn't surprise me at all. I was reading about how I think the EU is suing Steam for antitrust or monopoly or something like that, and their argument is like, wait, there are like several other gaming markets that all have the same rule of if you want to use DLC content from in a game that you purchased here, you can't use it on Epic's game version if you buy the game there too. And Epic has the same rule, and Galaxy of Games has the same rule, and Electronic Arts has Microsoft has the same rule. Like they all have the same rule, but for some reason, well, for obvious reasons, that Steam is extremely successful. They've got a freaking like hundreds of $1 million yacht slash science research vessel, which is real wild to me that they're like doing like aquatic research on the side while they're funding aquatic research through like gaming portal. I'm not sure that I think that there are a lot of words that have meanings that are defined that are misunderstood or misinterpreted by the general population, like terms of service. But you have to read the terms of service. You have to read an agreement. You have to read what these things mean because we can't even trust like the internet to give us the truth really, because AI will just give us some answer now, a really believable reading answer too. Like when you read aloud, it's just, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense.
It's funny though how fast it feels like the counter culture in the youth has grown. Like obviously kids, there's always kids who are going to cheat, and then in that subset there was going to be kids who are going to use AI regardless. But it feels like a lot of kids are like trying to get into, or not, they don't have to try. They're not engaging in the AI shortcut culture, and by proxy they still have like interests, and they're still emotionally developing in ways that briefly it appeared that because of things like the manosphere in tandem with AI, it was going to be yeah, it felt like all the youth were doomed.
It's
and
not
fucked.
a sphere, it's obelisk shaped.
It's like a flaccid obelisk.
Yeah. It's more of a mound, really.
um,
no, it's just
but
I keep seeing these. I keep seeing software or websites or web applications that are driven by AI, and when I look into like these things, they're made by people who don't have very much coding experience, but they know how to ask the machine to do things. And because like agentic AI is at a place now where it can write, pretty decent website. They can do a website. They can do decent software, I guess, like acceptable software. Um, there's a lot of stuff out that just seems real familiar, like even more familiar than just object oriented stuff. Like how there was a phase where all the Java applets looked the same because everyone was basically working out of the same tutorials to learn how to do Java. I think this is kind of a similar thing where there's a lot of AI output, and it all looks the same as itself. And I have the same complaint about games that are all basically using Unreal Engine to do the same thing, and they all just kind of look the same with minor variations in stories or within like the way that they skin a character.
Asset flips are asset flips.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's the same. It's like the same thing. Like these agentic operations are all essentially turning out the same work. So here in a little while, all of these AI-based interfaces are going to behave the same and react the same, and they have the same kind of formats because it'll be determined that this is the best way to do it. Because this is, how whatever that AI, that agentic system was fed is determined. It's like this is how we do things. And then we're going to be in a place where nobody knows how to code anything, and nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, and all of our software is like Fisher Price looking. And
I mean, I don't even think so. In that the people who were like coding in the '90s haven't left those jobs in a lot of cases. They're still around, which is part of the reason shit started falling apart. This is where we hit like this weird intersection of techno nepotism, or it's not even like I don't even want to call it nepotism because it's like techno decay in that the people just haven't left and the institutions have decayed because it's like the same, like you got the same people making decisions at the head of what are now tech companies that, even though on the one hand they may claim they're like media companies, or they may claim they're news organizations, they're tech companies. Even like Apple, where like I don't know if Tim Cook is still there, but it's gonna be somebody like Tim Cook if it's not. And that motherfucker needs to go home. Like, go be with your family, bro. Stop thinking you know what the fuck to design, and stop coming up with like small phone, big phone, small phone, slim phone, fat phone. And then they just go through the same fucking cycles because they're old and out of touch and they can't come up with anything new. So it's like these fucking Tim Cooks, like, they just need to stop, man. It's like it's the tech equivalent of Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Like, at a certain point, you've done enough. You've affected enough. You can't affect it any more than you already have. And then the redundancy in the attempts undermine everything that came before and everything that comes after. So it's this weird, everybody is not self-aware enough to know when they should stop something. And I think it's especially bad when it comes to like code and people who are in charge of like large code bases and large like computing slash tech oriented organizations. And then mainly because then in a lot of cases they can't get voted out. Like, every place doesn't have a board to vote somebody out. Sorry, go
you
ahead.
reminded me of Silicon Valley. When Guilfoyle unleashes the AI to fix their software, and it erases like most of it. I don't know why.
And he tries to defend it, where
Yeah.
he's like, technically it's right.
Yeah, it was like this. It determined it's the most efficient way to solve our problem.
But yeah, that show was too on point. Like, it was on point at the time, but even now it's even more prophetic than it felt. So I'm but it's also one of those things where you're like, this is like bittersweet. Um
It's like the outcome that like we knew would happen, but we didn't want to see happen.
right.
Nobody wanted that kind of outcome. Everyone wants the outcome to be good, but this was like told you so, dicks, but also fuck.
But also, we never should have let tech bros become a thing in a way that it's not too late to undo it. I think Elon has done a good job single handedly of undoing people's faith in tech bros. Um, but it's like I, I I have not seen anyone after Sam Altman emerged that is even remotely um like being talked about the same way as Altman. In that it's easy to forget how much Sam Bankman Fried and what's her name? Elizabeth Holmes. Like, do you remember when NFTs were a thing?
Are they still? Those things haven't disappeared completely. Every so often, I see some video game that's like, "This is an NFT game," and then
I
I,
mean, nobody nobody cares.
yeah, I know.
So, but I mean, in that there was a time when the mainstream media was trying to convince everyone the NFTs were about to be the next big thing, and everyone was all in and was confident in the grift. And I feel like the last thing we had in that same vein was Ozempic, but the negative side came way quicker than anybody would have anticipated. So we've already stopped getting as much Ozempic propaganda, um, mainly because people's faces are sunken in and they're like shitting themselves uncontrollably and they're not able to gain weight even if they go off the Ozempic. So it's like now the negative effects came so fast that I think people who started taking Ozempic because they saw the effects that the media was pushing, but while the media was not telling people about the negative side effects, it's like that. I think we're close to the last bit of trust that the people have in the mainstream media being exhausted. Um, and then, oh my god, so that that the Melania movie that came out, right?
um, no, but I read something about Trump saying that there's a happy ending in it.
So regardless of the contents of it, these people put out ads to they were trying to pay people $50 to go watch the movie to fill the theaters in Boston area. But then they were like, you have to stay through the entire movie and you have to stay through the credits if you want to get your $50.
But would fifty
And
dollars even
so
cover going to the movies?
they were gonna buy the ticket. So it's like they would get free ticket and the $50. But then they had to stop because it it was getting potentially close of running afoul of campaign finance laws. So then you're like, how the fuck did this movie, the Amazon financed, how did that
Wait, an
get,
Amazon movie made it into a theater?
bro? Is so much about this thing where you're like, what, who, why, how, when, and then when you start to find out the answers, it's like, this is exactly what I thought would have been why this thing happened. Apparently, the fucking producer or financier, I forget which, it may be a combo, but it just came out that this motherfucker was in the fucking Epstein files. So it's like, oh, that's how it got made. That's how they thought they could get away with doing this shit where they're gonna fucking pay people to go to the theater so then they could say it was a success.
Who's the director?
And then in the process, they're like not even playing it in many countries that they were trying to release it. So then you're like, yeah, why is an Amazon movie getting released in fucking theaters like this? Who made that decision? And so it's clearly
You can't
like
watch it
there's
on Amazon. It's not on Prime.
well, and it's like one of those things where when that is taken into account, it's like clearly there was some discussion on the back end for this to be some sort of political influence on the midterm elections that are coming up. And in the process, because the midterms, they're going to determine a lot of how the last 2 years of fucking President Teabag's term play out. He really needs Republicans to win in a way that getting Melania to do propaganda for the administration through Amazon, I think they fucked up big time in a way that is like, I know they have like they have the FBI and there's like 5 Supreme Court justices that they have, but it's like Amazon exists in many places outside of the protection of the president. So they're going by them doing some clearly illegal campaign shit through Amazon. Amazon is going to go down, and they're also not going to want to, because this other dude now in the files, and that's like just now coming out.
So
The only reason it came out
it cost
is
$40 million to produce, and she got paid
yeah.
$28 million for her participation. It looks like.
And so because of all of the shady shit that just happened with this film, somebody's getting in trouble for some shit that is going to make them start rolling over on other people. And it's like it's always some random shit that starts making people roll. But this is the thing, mainly because there's it's not just the director, it's going to be other people that are now going to get investigated and involved, which then they're going to start talking. So this is the type of thing where campaign finance clearly was violated at some point. And so maybe multiple points. And the fact that they tried to do this thing to promote, like, to protect the image of the promotion, but then had to come out and pull it back in the same day, basically. It's like they're operating in ways that they're doing shit that they don't even know what they're doing and don't even know what laws they're breaking. And when somebody does that, it becomes like that's operating at a really haphazard and manner that's bound to leave something open to prosecution. So it's like, especially because film distribution is nationwide, if there's some sort of like federal, and if they did some sort of federal push to inflate numbers, but also like influence local campaigns in specific places, because then nobody's even done the research to figure out exactly where all these like they start people were doing research to figure out which um movie theaters sold tickets at all, and apparently a significant portion of them didn't sell one ticket. And then I went through Detroit, and just look just to see if the news story was true, and it was like one ticket sold in an auditorium, like in the very back of the auditorium, because in many theaters now it's assigned seating, so people are buying very specific seats, and the one ticket sold was in the very far back, and I'm like, who's going to see Melania at like 10:30 on a fucking Thursday or Friday night or whatever it was? Yeah, I think it was a Thursday, by themselves, sitting in a love seat in the very back when the theater is empty. Like, that only, if that person shows up, that's not somebody you want to claim as part of your demographic, because none of that sounds uh, like it's going to turn out well.
And if they could have done it, and they could have had it streaming from like under Roku devices or anywhere, and made people sign in to do it. Then they would have been able to log everyone's authorized device that sits in their home. They had an opportunity to get into everyone's house, and they just totally they didn't. They could have made it free. Just sign in. If you sign in and watch the whole thing, we'll send you a free Trump presidency gold coin, commemorative gold coin worth $50. It's the non-fungible token. We can't have that. We already have a surveillance state. I'll freely give away our most people freely give away their location every time they take a picture and then put it somewhere on the internet.
Right? They don't know how to turn off location.
Oh god. I'm serious. Why does my refrigerator need to know where I am? Why? Why does it need to be connected to my phone? Why does my microwave need to be connected to my phone or my stove? I mean, I can see having like the climate control connected to a device that you're always holding, but when am I using the oven for long and that I need to like disappear for long enough that I shouldn't be turning it off? I'm cooking. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Like,
I once left a hot dog in the oven when I left the apartment, and it was on, I want to say, either 350 or 400, and I didn't remember until about 20 minutes later. And I'm like, why? If all this technology exists, like, that's one of the things that remote shut off for an oven, that shit should have been invented in the 80s. Like, they had remote garage door openers that worked, from 100, 200 feet. But like, if I can dial my house and hit a fucking code, there should be some sort of like local radio transmitter that then picks up a signal and shuts off the oven. That shit should have been done decades ago, and it would have saved so many like places from burning down. And it's when you realize that like shit like that doesn't really exist, and if it does, it's in a oven that costs like fucking $4,000 or something stupid. Then you're like, oh, they're not. Nobody actually like is trying to prevent things like that. It's just a matter of the priorities are just all wrong.
you can't get people to buy more ovens if the oven's AI keeps saving the oven.
It don't even need to be AI.
Well, I know. I'm just packaging it with AI because that's the buzzword right now.